Just a total lunatic and unhinged Donald Trump is having a meltdown. He's attacking cattle ranchers. He's whining about the 2020 election. Let me show you what's going down. He says, in addition to everything else, tariffs on other countries saved our cattle ranchers, exclamation point. But he says, the cattle ranchers, who I love, they just don't understand that the only reason they are doing so well for the first time in decades is because I put tariffs on cattle coming into the United States, including a 50% tariff on Brazil. If it weren't for me, they would be doing just as they've done for the past 20 years. Terrible. It would be nice if they would understand that, but they also have to get their prices down because the consumer is a very big factor in my thinking also. Oh, yes, Donald, you think that that's how it works with cattle ranchers? That they get to just set their own price, that there's just price fixing taking place? You don't understand how anything works. Now, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the biggest beef association for cattle ranchers, says cattlemen and women cannot stand behind President Trump while he undercuts the future of family farmers and ranchers by importing Argentinian beef. It is imperative that Donald Trump and Secretary Rollins, the Agriculture Secretary, let cattle markets work without interference. Stop being communists. In other words, stop interfering with our markets. Let the free markets for cattle do what it needs to do. You're screwing things up. It goes on to say, if the administration is truly an ally of America's cattle producers, we call on him to abandon this effort to manipulate markets and focus instead on completing the promised New World screwworm facility in Texas, make additional investments that protect the domestic cattle herd from foreign animal disease such as foot and mouth disease, and address regulatory burdens such as delisting of the gray wolf and addressing the scourge of black vultures. You think Donald Trump knows what any of that means? No, Donald Trump just did a $40 billion bailout to Argentina using taxpayer dollars while 20 million Americans are losing their health care right now as Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans have shut down the government and refused to extend Affordable Care Act subsidies, which will take people off their health care plan. They give $40 billion to Argentina. And then when Donald Trump is asked about the billions of dollars going to Argentina, he goes, and you know what else we're going to do? We're going to bring Argentine beef into the United States, and that's how we're going to bring our beef prices down. No, that's how you're going to kill Americans, you idiot, because Argentinian beef suffers from foot and mouth disease, and that could kill our consumers and put more of our cattle ranchers out of business who are already going through bankruptcies because of your trade war against the world, which has destroyed American markets abroad. You are the reason why cattle ranchers are suffering right now. But you think Donald Trump cares? No, because as Qasim Rashid says, to recap, $100 million Donald Trump spending on his golf outings, $172 million going for private Gulfstream jets for Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and her pal Corey Lewandowski. Very romantic, it sounds like, spending taxpayer dollars on that. $230 million. Donald Trump wants the Department of Justice to pay him in a settlement because Donald Trump calls the 2020 elections rigged, and Donald Trump wants the DOJ to settle with him. A $250 million vanity ballroom, a golden ballroom. By the way, you take a look at the ballroom right here. Take a look at this graphic we made. Here's what Donald Trump's rendering of the new ballroom looks like. Doesn't that look a lot like the ballroom at the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia? Yeah, it's basically a replica of that. Surprise, surprise. And also, it's not 250 million anymore. The number went up again. Every time Donald Trump has a new press conference, it goes up. So when Donald Trump had a press conference yesterday with the head of NATO, guess what it is? It's now $300 million. Soon you know what the number is going to be. It's going to be $1 billion. Here's Donald Trump during this embarrassing meeting with the Secretary General of NATO saying that it now is $300 million going into this ballroom. Play this clip.
There's a relative, nobody's actually seen anything quite like it. I think it'll be one of the great ballrooms anywhere in the world. It's about $300 million. It's set to do many, many things, including meetings of foreign leaders, including the honoring of foreign leaders. You can see this. This is a plan. If it's got tables so that you honor a foreign leader, we have a proper space. Right now, we have a space that with tables holds about 79 people.
Also, to recap, $40 billion to Argentina while our farmers suffer, $117 billion in annual tax cut to the super wealthy, 1%, $170 billion ICE budget to round up Americans like the Gestapo. What are they buying, like warheads and chemical weapons that they're using against Americans right now? And let's take a look right here. Total U.S. debt as of yesterday officially crossed above the $38 trillion amount for the first time in history. This marks a $500 billion jump this month, or $23 billion per day being added to the U.S. debt. Also, take a look at the chart right here. Doesn't it seem once again that when Donald Trump comes into office, all of a sudden there's like a straight line up with our debt? But I thought that you've brought in, Donald, what'd you say you brought in? $17 trillion that's on a tariff shelf? So shouldn't we have a surplus? Oh no, you lied again. Oh, you just lie all the time, don't you? Also, initial jobless claims filed by federal workers spiked 121% week over week, reaching 7,244 in the week ending October 11th, the highest since the 2019 government shutdown. Now, while the Labor Department has refused to publish its weekly reports blaming the government shutdown, state-level data remains available. The Kobayashi letter explains the number of federal employees filing for unemployment has jumped 1,200% since the shutdown began on October 1st. Additionally, continuing claims rose 9% from the prior week to 9,340, 9,430, the highest in 3.5 years. The government shutdown is in full swing, and Donald Trump putting bulldozers to destroy the White House is in full swing. Now, what's Donald Trump also posting about as well? He's ranting and raving like a lunatic about the 2020 election, and he's saying that Barack Hussein Obama, ask former President Barack Hussein Obama whether or not he really believes that in 2020, Joe Biden got 15 million more votes than he did in 2012. Additionally, ask him, why is it that Joe Biden beat Obama in every single swing state with the black vote in 2020, even though black voters hate him? But in no other state, the 2020 election was an illegal scam hoax that the people of our great country will never forget. No, the people of our great country hate you, despise you. Your approval's the lowest in presidential history right now. Especially you look at young people. You were +5 for whatever reason with young people. Heading out of the 2024 election, you're now -39, okay? The worst approval basically in American history. Yes, our corporate leaders and some universities and law firms have capitulated to you, but the American people, like the people who showed up at the No Kings protest and peacefully protested, the American people absolutely hate you. Let me give you some more data points, Donnie. Let me give you some more data points, Donnie. A small window, as Shane Goldmacher says, into shutdown politics right now. In one question, approval by Democratic voters of how Democrats in Congress are handling their job has surged, per the recent Quinnipiac poll. As of October 2025 now, 58% of Democratic voters approve, whereas before in July 2025, 39% approved. What's the difference here? Democrats have wanted their party to fight this fascist and authoritarian regime. Not just Democrats. Independents wanted to see an opposition party and the Democrats resist, oppose, be strong. Stop this regime from doing what it's doing. Call out their fascistic behavior. Also, in a 2026 generic congressional ballot poll, in terms of the trends by Quinnipiac, if the election, the midterms, were held tomorrow in a generic ballot, Democrats versus Republican, Democrats would have a 9-point lead, 50 to 41%. And amongst independents, Democrats have a 20-point lead, Now, I also want to say that Democrats have been overperforming their polling in special elections and in state legislative races by 10 to 15 points as well. So you add that on top of this polling, and that can be a recipe for disaster for the GOP, even if they try to rig this thing, which, you know, they're trying to rig the midterms. I mean, I just think that people, when they see that there's no longer any press in the Pentagon other than Mike Lindell's Pillow Guy press company, as my friend Brian Tyler Cohen says, the Pentagon announced they're replacing the New York Times press credentials with the My Pillow Guy's media outlet. Again, not a joke. That actually is something that happened. Tom Heerden writes, almost above all, I look forward to the trials and convictions for those of this administration responsible for murdering fishermen and others without evidence or due process. I agree. There are war crimes being committed every day by the United States of America, just murdering people indiscriminately. In the Caribbean, we've learned that there were innocent fishermen who were shot and killed. By the way, even if they were potentially drug dealers, I want to be clear, fentanyl is not being made in Venezuela. We know that, or Colombia. So when Trump says that, that's a complete lie. These small fishing boats would probably have to refuel 20 times if they were going to get from the area by Venezuela to the United States. These are small shipping boats. They're likely going to Trinidad and Tobago. And we also know there were innocent Trinidad and Tobago people who were likely killed. So these ships can't make it to the United States without refueling 20 times. And we don't just murder people. Everybody remember Abu Ghraib under George W. Bush, where waterboarding was viewed as a torture, which it is, and that the United States should not be waterboarding even the bad guys, that we are beyond torture, right? We shouldn't be doing that. Remember the scandal, Abu Ghraib, what was going on? The CIA black sites? Well, now they're not black sites. In plain view, in the Caribbean, and actually yesterday in the Pacific Ocean, Hegseth announced just summarily killing and executing human beings on fishing boats in the name of the United States. These are war crimes, and I hope these war criminals are tried and prosecuted for their war crimes when we get out of this despicable and disgusting era, because it is a crime. It is grotesque what is happening right now. I'll do another video soon about MAGA Mike Johnson, but how do you know MAGA Mike Johnson's lying? He opens up his mouth. Last night on CNN, Caitlin Collins asked him, so if you have a healthcare plan, why not show us? Show what's your plan? The Obamacare and Affordable Care Act, same thing, allowed Americans to have healthcare with the subsidies, made it affordable. Should be more affordable, but it was the step in the right direction, because before Obamacare, insurance companies could discriminate on the basis of pre-existing conditions. 20 plus million Americans were uninsured and they would just die, and prices were through the roof. So Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act subsidies were a step in the right direction. Personally, I'm speaking for myself as the host of the MeidasTouch Network, and people may have different views on this network. I believe in universal health care. I believe rich people should be taxed more so that the government makes health care free for everybody, like it exists in most other countries. So, but what's your plan, MAGA Mike? You just want to destroy healthcare and get rid of it without a replacement? You've had first Trump administration and you've had 10 months. And if you spent the 10 months having ICE, Gestapo send people to concentration camps and have National Guard invade blue cities, but you don't come up with a plan and you want to kick people off the Affordable Care Act, that's not okay. And you refuse to even talk to Democrats. You refuse to have conversations. You refuse to, yet alone negotiate. I mean, everybody remembers Schoolhouse Rock, right? Or you remember fifth grade government class. The parties are supposed to speak to each other. So what happens though in the modern day America, where you have the MAGA Republicans who said, we don't believe in speaking to the other side. We're just going to bulldoze the White House down when we want it. We'll get rid of people's health care when we want to. We'll send in ICE agents to kidnap people when we want to. We'll destroy and kill people in the oceans when we want to, without due process, without anything at all. We don't need process. We don't want to talk. We just want a Führer. We just want a dictator. That's what we're going to do. What happens when you have that happen? That's what we have to call it. You're supposed to speak with each other in our system. But here's MAGA Mike, the liar, being asked, if you have a healthcare plan, where is it? Play this clip.
But if you have ideas and you have plans, why not have that out there to talk about in the public so the people can hear that debate happening? I mean, you could have committees in session right now.
They will, Caitlin.
Talking about this. I think the question is maybe
we need to get back to regular session so we can. No, we're not going to allow Chuck Schumer to play selfish political games and hold the American people hostage. We will not negotiate with legislative terrorists. We're not going to let them do that. We can't. We owe it to the people to get this government operating again. Republicans have now voted 12 or 13 times, counting the House and Senate, 13 times to open the government. And the Democrats have voted 13 times to close it down. It is wrong. There is no reason for it.
And here he is. He goes, we have so many plans, but we just have to open up the government and then we'll tell you all about our super secret plans. Here, play this clip.
We have many ideas on how to bring down the cost of health care, to continue to do that, and we've already demonstrated it in the Working Families Tax Cut. We had real reforms to Medicaid that you and I have discussed that have brought down the cost and saved about $185 billion for taxpayers and made the program stronger for the people that actually rely upon them because we got ineligible enrollees off the program. We have many ideas like that to bring down the cost of health care and increase access and quality of care. And all that will be rolled out in the days ahead. We have plenty of time to do it. It was always going to be done at the last quarter of the year.
And then she goes, Caitlin Collins goes, so if the government reopened, would you start talking about the subsidies? Yeah, I sure would. Yeah, I would. No, you were a liar. They lie about everything. If you can talk about it after, talk about it now. Because the letters are going out to people. And people are about to lose their health care. And we know you lie about everything. Everything you lie about. Anyway, here, play this clip of MAGA Mike.
And we've gone back and forth on, you and I have, on what Democrats want here and whether or not that's health care for people who are in the country illegally, obviously. But I think the question is on the health care plan, to Marjorie Taylor Greene's point, is if the government reopened tonight, would Republicans have a plan to address the Obamacare subsidies?
Yes.
You would have a plan
we
tonight.
Have proposals to... we could have that ready immediately. Yes. Yeah, because here's the thing. We work in a deliberative public body and we have hundreds of members. It's a very complicated, very complex issue that requires a long time to build consensus around. We have ideas on the table and the whole process of the legislative body is to build consensus around it. That's why we have to do that, and that's what we've been planning to do all along.
Anyway, we've got a lot more to discuss this morning. Every 90 minutes, as you know, we add new videos on this YouTube channel. Check it out. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 billion. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.